Breaking into my radio computer, I see. Breaking into my radio computer again, I see. No one's hiding here. You won't find any answers from here. Well, you won't find any music venue organizers here. It's just me and my computer, and it has been this way for weeks. Now please give me some room. I need 2 seconds to see that you haven't destroyed anything. There are no coalition military data links. And even if there was, you couldn't access them over a civilian network. That's nonsense. You're just a police officer. No one asked you to do anything interesting with my radio computer. Now please give me some room. I need 2 seconds to see that you haven't destroyed anything. A chance to cook some speed, you mean? Ah, did they? All right. This is all very good and sad, but I have my research to finish. Trust me, this is far more important than the fate of some local speed freaks and their dance music. Well? Did you hear anything? Yeah. Oh God, not this again. It is not on site. It is in the basement. Perfectly safe and not connected to the front at all. There's this giant ice bear fridge in the building's cellar. It's there. Jawiza. Of course. Our project lead, Suliswov Jawiza. God, he was always so hell-bent on keeping the copy somewhere safe. And feature creep. And the Valley of the Heads. Because it reminds us of death. And we humans tend to think that death is pretty scary. I brought them here. These are my machines. Please don't touch anything. Maybe I'd have to be on drugs to get it. But to a sober mind, it just sounds like uninspired rug whipping. No idea what it has to do with either dancing or music. This is about those speed freaks in the tent, isn't it? I've got some news for you. It's not a nightclub they want to build here. Take a guess, why don't you? Bingo! That's exactly what they're up to. Good. No, of course not. I feel even worse about drugs than I feel about nightclubs. I feel that's illegal. I see you've talked to them. Good. Drugs are illegal, and I'm not leaving this church, especially because of some corrupt drug lab idea you've cooked up in that tent. No, certainly not. I've got a citizens' investigation to run, and I want nothing to do with local vices. Yes, I know that. So that's settled. Great. No nightclubs in the church then. Yeah, what I said before. Not possible to appreciate that kind of music without being high as a kite. What is it? Yes. Thank you. Now, if you'd only let me work. And before you go on, I'm not disrupting any order here. I'm a circuit bender, and no one has anything against circuit benders. I'm a circuit bender, and no one ever has anything against circuit benders. No, but you see, it doesn't matter whether you care about it or not. It's the law. I'm not going anywhere. Yes, anything. I don't want to make anything work. That's right. If we couldn't get our Welkins to happen, I don't want anything to happen. Ever again. Very cool. But I don't want any part of those surroundings myself, good or bad. On Rue de Saint-Ghislain, in the East Delta Commerce Center, the bookstore lady hates me. Says I'm part of the curse, whatever that means. That's her name, I believe. Because she's from Martinez, and people from Martinez have never ever seen a radio computer. She thinks it emits elemental evil. Yeah, that's the one. You can get in through the bookshop. You just have to do some explaining to the bookstore lady. Yes and no. Taking it outside the building wouldn't have protected it from the data loss. There's nothing wrong with keeping the backup in the basement. What happened was a freak accident that has nothing to do with how the backup was stored. No, that's the production schedule you stole and accessed without authorization. I don't need it. You put it there? You put a dead body inside the ice bear fridge. No, that's the production schedule. I don't need it. The right filament memory has off-site copy written on silver tape. I know it's just ink. But Lintel was somehow able to divine the location of the anomaly from this broken copy. I want to repeat their calculation, only this time with better equipment. A speck of white? That's exactly what I'm hoping to find. I have a theory. Lintel was able to divine the location of the anomaly from this broken copy. I want to repeat their calculation, only this time with better equipment. Watch. What an intricate display of failure. Lintel was able to divine the location of the anomaly from this broken copy. I want to repeat their calculation, only this time with better equipment. Nope. Huh? I am being careful. Treat it as a mere technical anomaly. Makes it easier to bear. Here! I found it! Figure it out? No. I don't need you to figure anything out. I've got a computer for that. Just walk over to the circle and follow my instructions. Move the third ball 2 centimeters to the left, and the fourth ball 5 centimeters to the right. This should do the trick. Yes, thanks. Come on. It's not about your brain. Even I couldn't figure it out on my own. Honestly, I'm a little scared. I don't know. That's what I'm scared of. I don't know. It could be anything. I don't know. I'm just scared. Maybe it's going to be something terrifying. Maybe it's going to tear the world apart. I can't believe they got you so easily. Go have another talk with those up-and-coming entrepreneurs, will you? Thanks. Like it would have made a difference. The offsite copy was perfectly safe when the data loss happened. That data loss was anomalous. You mean the speed freaks? No, officer. I don't agree to anything. But most of the time I'm fully absorbed in my work with the radio computer. And there are still parts of the church I haven't had time to explore, so... Sure, let me know how it goes. Thanks, officer. I guess I could live through a week or two of peaceful coexistence. I know it is, but could you please turn it down just this instance? Just this one time? Maximum is not the only way, okay? See? He pumps it to the heart, master. It's hopeless. Of course it is. Never mind then. Let's get on with our project. I'm going to unmute the speakers on a count of 5. Everyone ready? Okay, but think you can ask him to turn the volume down a bit? Just in case. What? Because I'm afraid that something might happen. It's an unknown phenomenon. We can always turn it back up if there's a need. No, we should definitely do this. I am going to do this. Ready? Shit! It doesn't stop. A seal? Have you? No. What they really should do is shut down the disco men for disturbing neighborhood peace. The window is going to come down. No, the roof! And? Great. I used the AR-1 as my RAIM prefix processing unit. Somewhere underneath those roof beams, I assume. I don't care. I don't care about crap men. RAIM prefect. My radio computer. They are connected to my RAIM prefect. Whatever you do, just please don't move them, okay? Thanks. I know a friend of a friend who used to freelance for the coalition. I was actually aiming for the military-grade RAIM Rational series, but couldn't find one. I'm working. Exactly. What does it mean? Up to now, it has been impossible to say what it is because it's impossible to measure nothing. Could you just shh for a moment? Or get to the point. I really need to focus on something. Yes. Or no. Not anymore. That project is dead. What do you think it is? What qualities does nothing have? How do you measure something that does not exist? I am Soona Luukanen-Kilde, the former lead programmer of Fortress Accident and RSA radios. I have over 16 years of programming experience, and I'm proficient in both Vox and Orbis languages. If you're not here to hire me, I don't really know how I can help you. Yes. What is it? No, you just printed out my personal log and wasted some paper. Yes, what is it? What? I hate it. Yes, that's what led me here. But I suspect it might be something a bit more complicated than that. Yes? You really don't know anything about radio computers, do you? All right. Well, all radio computers perform operations up on air. So in order to gain more processing power, you need to invest in a good antenna. I guess it is. So far I've been quite satisfied with it. Martinez is an unstable region with bad coverage and the operation has been surprisingly stable. But it's not the cheapest one on the market. So I wouldn't recommend it for your regular red tape operations. Fraser 1000 is a foolproof line for civilians. Anyway, you should do some research before you decide to buy anything. Ask around, compare the prices. There are many milieus dedicated to that sort of thing. No, I don't. Because I needed something good for my investigation, and Reims Civic is widely agreed to be below all standards, so I had to upgrade. Besides, owning a Reims prefect isn't such a big deal anymore. Prefect is mainly based on the same technology as Reims Civic, so it's kind of a ripoff. But it does have better compatibility with newer antenna models, so I won't complain. No, of course not. I know a friend of a friend who used to freelance for the coalition. I bought it from her. I was actually aiming for the military-grade Reim Rational series, but couldn't find one. Prefect is mainly based on the same technology as the Civic, but it does work better with newer antenna models, so I'm not complaining. You really like those questions, don't you? No, I'm not. It's just me and the crab man. I'm just doing some research, that's all. I'm looking for the location of a 2mm hole in the world. I'm conducting scientific research here. You can't throw me out. I'm looking for the location of a 2mm hole in the world. Ghosts? No, I don't think so. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in them either. There's this place at the back of the church, a place where all audible vibrations seem to decease. I've named it the Swallow. And the higher you go, the less you record. Great. What are we talking about? And why? Great. Thanks. But honestly, it's not progressing very well. The Swallow, you mean? What about it? Just to be completely clear, I am here to conduct a citizen's investigation into a radio anomaly, and I want nothing to do with the local voices of Martinez. Okay? Thanks. Just to be completely clear, I am here to conduct a citizen's investigation into a radio anomaly, and I want nothing to do with the local voices of Martinez. Got it? Thanks. I already told you, I'm not interested. No, you're right. I'm not. What? No, I don't really need any help with the project. All right. Bring me the game's offsite copy from my old workspace, if you really want to help. It's stored on a filament memory, and I'm unable to go and fetch it myself. No. She literally started praying for the higher powers when she first saw my Reims Civic. I'm not making this up. Once I came in one morning, only to find that my terminal was full of those strange trinkets and amulets. Wards. It looked like some Semenine magic. Don't worry, you can't miss the bear. It's hideous. You might be more familiar with the name Doomed Commercial Area. You can get in through the bookshop on the plaza. You just have to do some explaining to the bookstore lady. She literally started praying for the higher powers when she first saw my Reims Civic. I'm not making this up. Yes, but she literally started praying for the higher powers when she first saw my Reims Civic. I'm not making this up. Wait, a note from whom? Did it specify where they took the filament memory? And the heads. I won't even get into the heads. Millions of them. Go find that copy from that ice cream maker, will you? Thanks. Wait, what? Whose dead body? And what is it doing in the fridge? Okay. Very cool. Thanks for keeping me in the loop. This is getting ridiculous. Can't you just defrost it? Or, I don't know. I don't know about the ice cream maker. Just figure something out. Thanks. Looks like it's the one. Now I'm going to print it out to see what's left of it. No, it's not dangerous. Just depressing. I have a theory. Lintel was able to divine the anomaly's location from this broken copy. I want to repeat their calculation, only this time with better equipment. Watch. What an intricate display of failure. Watch. What an intricate display of failure. Watch. What an intricate display of failure. Exactly. Very true. That's what I've been aiming for. That's why I have those basins. I've tried using hydro transducers to record the silence, to find out where it begins. Good. Hold on. So you do know something about computers. You're right. Prefect is used mostly by the government peeps. Shh. Just give me a second. I'm almost done. I've got it. I found the location of the anomaly. Just give me a second. I found the coordinates. Thank you. There. In the Swallow. Think you can help me again? You measure it by its surroundings. by that which does exist, which is what I've been trying to do. I've tried using hydro transducers to record the silence, to find out where it begins. I need you to go move those water bowls for me. I need to double-check my calculations. Just walk over to the circle and follow my instructions. Move the third bowl 2 centimeters to the left and the fourth bowl 5 centimeters to the right. This should do the trick. Can you please just go and move the water bowls for me? Thanks. Great. Everything should be aligned now. Yeah. Nothing. Now the only thing left to do is to unmute the headphones. Yeah. Let's do it. Now the only thing left to do is to unmute the headphones. If we got the location right, we should then be able to hear whatever sound this anomaly makes. I mean, what sound does the nothing make? How can you even listen to something that doesn't exist? What if silence is only what surrounds it, but the swallow itself is... Maybe I'm just tired. Yeah, you're right. Let's do it. No! We have to do it. Damn it. You arrested them? Didn't think the cops in this place had it in them. Yeah, nothing happened, let's move on. No, of course not. Nothing happened, let's move on. No. Because it's just trial and error, trying to locate the swallow, the exact point in space. And I don't have a... You know what? It would be really helpful if you could just stop talking and let me work. We clear? A better sound system? Alright, but where would we get one? Of course. The Speed Freaks. They have a fantastic sound system. And you think they would help me? I'm protected by the Wayfarer Act. Then you'll certainly know that all radio computers perform operations on air. So in order to gain more processing power, you need to invest in a good antenna. On the front, the unified front of radio waves, licensed and controlled by Lintel in the East Insulindic region. It's all around us. That's what on air means. You told them to leave? Didn't think the cops in this place had it in them. The Wayfarer Act states that citizens have the right to gather in public spaces unless they're disrupting the public order. Thanks. But there is, and it protects me. Okay, I'm going. You can tell the ravers that they can move in. Okay. I'll go make a phone call outside and then return for my things. You can tell the ravers that they can move in. What? What did you say? Oh, the project! It's not going well. I can't hear you. The music is too loud. There's that guy. I need him to plug a 3.5 cable into the auxiliary input so that I can route the audio signal through the mixer into the speakers. Egghead! A 3.5 cable! Into the auxiliary input! Okay? He doesn't listen to me! He only ever seems to care about hardcore and yekukata! A place to be, apparently. Thanks. Maybe you can get through his magic rhymes. Let me know how it goes. Maybe, but it's oddly close to the physical coordinates of the data loss that led me to this place. I know. No, I don't. Whose body is it? Who would I tell? My mother? I don't have anyone to tell. And if I did, I wouldn't. I don't care. Have some dignity. I don't know. Are we? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. But how do I figure it out? No, my hypothesis was wrong. According to this, I should have heard something if I got the coordinates right. Like I said, silence is only what surrounds it. But this is just another failure. Silence sounds like silence. That's all it is. You can try on the headphones. See if you can hear anything. But don't get your hopes up. The creepy woman! We were wondering about that when we worked there, but I had completely forgotten about it ever since. It must be anthroponetic crosstalk, the one you get in radios and long-distance calls. Now it makes sense, with the pale right on the doorstep. It's quite common, actually. When the signal gets routed through pale, all kinds of irregularities take place. You may hear snippets of someone else's conversation, or the voice of your former lover, or an echo of an event that took place 100 years ago. Pale is a shroud of memories, and it doesn't really distinguish to whom those memories belong to. You could hear anything. You mean Plaisance and the dice maker? There was almost no one left when we packed up. Anytime? Then go tell them. God! Easy now. I'll go. It's not an issue. Can I pack my things first? God! Easy now. I'll go. It's not an issue. Can I pack my things first?
She turns off her computer and leaves.
What? I'm not going anywhere. This is a public space, and I'm free to bend the circuit as I find necessary. Besides, I promise! Of course I can stay. It wasn't even a question. I don't want to make anything work. No, I'm not. It's just me and I'm just doing some research. That's all. Yeah. Like all the time. My tent neighbors don't really ease up with their partying, do they? Yeah. No, I don't think there's anything there. Okay. I'll go make a phone call outside and then return for my things. You can tell the ravers that they can move in. Okay, I'm going. You can tell the ravers that they can move in. Rain Prefect is my radio computer. Okay, but still, just messing with us. Right. Well, since you're asking then, if you could bring me the offside copy, then it would help. A lot. The offside copy you brought me helps, but you know what? It would be great if you could just stop talking and let me work. You're asking me to circuit bend onto a coalition radio frequencies. You want to know, is it possible? Probably. But is it a good idea? I'm not sure. Do I look like someone who has time for side projects at this moment? The main difficulty will be finding an antenna powerful enough to reach those frequencies. Unfortunately, you can't exactly buy mega long-wave antennas off the shelf. There is an old radio relay tower at the very end of the peninsula. It's mostly used to coordinate boat traffic in the harbor, but it's possible that it's equipped to handle mega low frequencies as well. Assuming the relay isn't too badly damaged, that is. I have work to do here, but I recommend you examine the relay tower and return once you have determined its condition. I highly doubt it. That tower is barely able to transmit shortwave signals across the bay. To generate megalow frequencies, we're going to need a much larger antenna. I don't see any alternative. We're just going to have to build the antenna ourselves. North of here. Follow the coastline. I do not know how to explain it more simply. Very good. I'll be here when you're finished. We need metal. A lot of it. The taller the structure, the better. Something that is both prominent and easily accessible. If it's near a power source, even better. Not the sort of antenna we require. The coalition has a near monopoly on megalow frequency radio equipment. Fortunately, they do not have a monopoly on physics. Yes, from a technical view, it's not even difficult. The difficult part will be finding the right location. Because it's a completely different class of antenna. It would be like using a high-end racing carriage where a long-distance lorry is required. That is not good. In case you have not noticed, Martinez is not exactly a hub for high-powered radio antennas. Ah, very good. Let's see what you have. Not the most advanced model, but at least everything appears to be in order. Yes, this should serve our purposes. Ah, you found the transceiver from my old Reims Civic? Did you think I wouldn't recognize it? No matter. It should work for our purposes. Interesting. An Esterhazy EH4, heavily customized. This is an advanced model, highly capable. I'll need to replace the frequency dial, but it should certainly work for our purposes. Is this a Kristallsprach? The Model 9 is an excellent piece of equipment. I don't know what you had to pay for it, but it should work very nicely. I believe that means we're ready to get started. I should warn you, once we begin setting up this antenna, we'll need to see the whole process through. There won't be any second chances, any do-overs. You understand? So if there's anything you'd like to get in order before we depart, I suggest you do it now. Very good. If you'll help me with some of this equipment then. That's fine. Return to me when you're ready to go. That's up to you. At a minimum, I would make sure you are physically and mentally prepared for an intense and difficult process. Once we begin, there can be no interruptions. Radio engineers typically carry overpriced solvent sprays to clean the antenna connections. But in a pinch, some common ammonia works just fine. Ah, yes, I wasn't sure what to do about that, but then I discovered an abandoned power source down by the edge of the bay. Finally, there's the question of stimulants. Some people prefer to keep illegal amphetamines on hand to help with their work. I'm not one of them, but they do exist. Oh, yes, I did notice that it was covered in police livery. Then you already know that the carriage itself is irreparable, but the rear-mounted engine seems to be in fine working order. Someone, I don't know how, appears to have driven a perfectly good Capri motor carriage into the bay. The carriage itself is a loss, but the rear-mounted engine is still perfectly functional. In that case, let's move on. My intention is to run a power cable from the engine up to the antenna. It won't last forever, but it should give us enough time to establish a connection with Coalition warship Archer. I'm not interested in irony. I leave that to more conceptual types. I don't take them because they make me nauseous. But everyone has their reasons. I don't judge. It is possible that technical fields attract a certain kind of personality. I haven't given it much thought. If you'll please carry that amplifier and cables, officer. We have quite a lot to carry. No, we could not. This church is made from wood. I'm not sure you understand how radios work. Do you have access to a giant boat? Don't you think the Union would object to that? I very much doubt anyone from the Wild Pines would allow us to turn their boat into a giant radio transmitter. Yes, it is not a very likely scenario. That is why we don't use it then. I do not think that the boss of the Union would like us using his equipment to contact the Coalition. I don't know about your relationship to the Union, but I do not think they would appreciate us using their equipment to contact the Coalition. Then it would be very difficult to propagate the signal through the air, which would defeat the purpose. To be perfectly frank, I'm not sure your ideas are really helping. Come on, that's the dead king and his horse. It could work. Not the worst idea. We'll need an adequate power supply and a great quantity of cable. If we connect the cables to some of the stranded lorries, we could theoretically increase the antenna's wavelength exponentially. Quiet. I'm doing maths. Yes, assuming we can find just a few pieces of equipment. It's completely ridiculous, but I believe we could transform the entire roundabout into one solid fractal antenna. What you choose to call it isn't my concern. I'm only here to tell you what's feasible or not from a technical viewpoint. Very well. I will get straight to the point then. If you would like to apologize, that is your business. I'm only here to tell you what's feasible or not from a technical viewpoint. Yes. Very likely the largest private antenna in Revachol. Your sense of style isn't my concern. I'm only here to tell you what's feasible or not from a technical viewpoint. I have plenty of cables and amplifiers on hand. The power supply I will secure on my own. All we require now is the radio transceiver itself. In any event, just leave that equipment here. I'll put it away later. If you'd like, you can take one of the extra headsets. I don't need so many spares. Well, this was an interesting collaboration. Perhaps. You're certainly resourceful. That is a good trait in an engineer. You decapitated our antenna. No, I do not think it's a good idea for you. Now you'll excuse me? I have to get back to my own work. Perhaps. You're more reliable than the writers I used to work with. Though, that is not a difficult part to clear. Really? I do not think we were all that successful. But maybe the RCM has a different definition of success. That is why we don't use it then. In the meantime, I will gather the rest of the materials. We will meet back here when you have it. That sounds like a perfectly adequate radio. There is no need to go out of your way to find a top-shelf radio for this purpose. As long as it's functional, that is what counts. That will be fine. As long as the radio is functional, that is what counts. Certainly, though it requires a fair amount of technical finesse to remove them. Frankly, it's not worth the bother. Just find a regular radio. Possibly. It's worth a look at the least. Of course you have. They aren't exactly rare. I cannot answer that for you, but I don't expect it to be that difficult. There's no shortage of radios around here. If you have real to spare, you might even be able to buy one. But it doesn't really matter where it comes from, so long as it works. Absolutely not! My reign prefect is my livelihood. If something were to go wrong, it would be a disaster. It's true. The drug fiends have made themselves quite comfortable. But I still have a great deal of work to do. If you're desperate for collaborators now, I suggest you ask your new friends. They seem to have plenty of time for side projects. If you'll please carry that amplifier and cables, officer. We have quite a lot to carry. Then go tell her. What? No one's suspicious around here. It's a backup of my former employer's project, the radio game we were working on. It's stored on a filament memory, just like the one inside this radio computer. The backup itself is destroyed now, but I'm hoping to use what's left of it to pinpoint the exact location of the anomaly. You just have to go to my old workspace and get the filament. Of course not. Anyway, I don't have my keys anymore and she won't let me in. So what I need you to do here is go have a talk with her, say that you're a policeman and need to get to the building's basement, then bring me the offside copy. All right? Good. Then you might know the giant ice bear fridge in the building's cellar. The filament is inside the fridge. Just go and get it. It doesn't emit. It receives. You sound just like her. She started praying when she first saw my rain. Turned to higher powers. In the giant ice bear fridge. I just told you. It has red glowing eyes. It's impossible to miss. You just need to get the offside copy from the ice bear. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mute disengaged. That's it. I'm muting it.
4 years. 22 people. Millions of reals. All that time? This is what we were up against. Just erased it. Suliswolf isn't gonna believe this.
Yes, Andre. I recorded it. Damn, I need to send some letters now. Thank you all for doing this. Eggman, you too. And you, officer. I don't know what we've discovered, but I know what it sounds like now. That's a start. It was mathematical information from the anomaly, presented as a waveform. That's what it was technically. Theoretically, I have no idea. I've never even heard of anything like this. Yes, our lead designer. And maybe some of the producers too. And some of the writers. If they're sober enough to open a transmission. They need to hear. They need to hear about this. Don't worry, I won't send the recording. Although I doubt they have the speakers to produce the frequency anyway. Stay here. I'm going to stay here with these lunatics. Send letters, maybe meet Suliswolf. Also devise further measurements. I don't care, but thank you anyway. Now, I have a theory to come up with. Some kind of preliminary explanation to all this, or the letter will sound like I've lost my mind. I promise, officer. We will not play it again. But Pale isn't here. We're thousands of kilometers from the edge. What? Then what is that? Then the Pale is... But the milk, it clearly hasn't started curdling yet. We're here and the Pale is not. But the gradient, it clearly hasn't started yet. We're here and the Pale is not. I understand. A theory of the Pale where instead of an outer ocean, it metastasizes, like a cancer or a mold, erupting in points inside the world. According to this, how long and information, causing data losses in the East Insulindian front. Have you considered why it's formed in a church, and also when or how it might start growing, or if it has other effects in addition to sound and data? Of course! A pine wood sarcophagus! Or a containment facility of some kind, built by the first settlers. Yes, but still, I have considered the same. And the bad news is, there were 7 such pinewood churches built in the first decade of reversal settlement. I have considered the same. The bad news is, there were 7 pinewood churches built in the first decade of reversal settlement. Most of them were burnt down during the revolution, or repurposed before, during the suzerain. I'm not saying all of them have one in them, but you think the presence of that puncture has somehow influenced the outcome of events here? Even say software development? I told the producers we need to go and move to a normal office building with amenities. But no, the artists like the milieu, the writers like the history. I told them. But no, normal office buildings are bourgeois. True, we never should have upgraded to Vox 50. And the spec kept changing. And those damn heads. But still, the anomaly caused a massive data loss. So it had a part to play. It does something. The crabman? From what I've heard, his state could be reminiscent of pale overexposure. Time perception-related illnesses, memory malfunctions, thought insertion. Yes, it is very interesting. But I wouldn't say you know. This is a guess. One that's going to have to be proved by anthroponetic scientists. I'm going to leave that out. But the rest? Some of this I can use to start to explain this to the rest of the team. Maybe I'll sound mad, but one more thing. Maybe a club for anodic music isn't the worst thing you can erect around this particular point in space. You know, maybe a club for anodic music isn't the worst thing you can erect around this particular point in space. I wouldn't go so far as to maybe, but what is there to add to that? Nothing. And here's my Kvalsund multitool. You might need it to hack loose some ice. It opens everything. If you get me the offside copy, then you can keep the Kvalsund. Asil? Aren't you going to dance?
The lead programmer throws the other young woman a knowing glance before turning her attention back to her own work.
When exactly did you lose consciousness? When you started shaking or when you were already on the ground? It did look like you short-circuited. I don't. Great! Someone got through to him! Okay, let's get it all set up. Can we turn the music off, please?
I'm not sure how much longer I can keep the signal clear, officer.
Officer, I'm afraid the connection is beginning to collapse.
So? They're really coming. I'm still not certain whether this was a good idea or not, but there is something extraordinary about summoning an air static with your voice. It's here! I sure can't hear us, I'm afraid. Only his microphone is connected to the transceiver. They can't hear us, I'm afraid. Only his microphone is connected to the transceiver. They can't hear us, I'm afraid. Only his microphone is connected to the transceiver.
Officer, we have a long walk back to the church. It's time to come down. What a disappointment. I was almost sure something truly interesting was about to happen. Oh well, you can come down now, officer. I'm going to begin packing my things up. Good. Now give me a hand with these amplifiers. Leave the cables. I don't feel like making 2 trips.
This line of argument is quite pointless. You should abandon it.
Good. Now give me a hand with these amplifiers. Leave the cables. I don't feel like making 2 trips. I can't say with certainty, but it sounds very much like anthroponetic crosstalk. It happens sometimes when sending transmissions across long stretches of pale. Yes, a particularly eerie specimen, but still just a harmless piece of the past returning to surface. There's no way the lieutenant has his own megalo-frequency connection. Very strange. I believe you mean, what was he talking about? Yes, that's by far the most likely explanation. But the odds of us hearing him, though, out of all the voices in the pale, are astronomically low. It sounds very much like anthroponetic crosstalk. It happens sometimes when sending transmissions across long stretches of pale. Then it will be exactly like every other moment of every other day. I ask again, are you ready? I did not expect simply locating the signal to be so difficult. We must consider several variables. Local anthroponetic conditions, the sophistication of our transceiver, the quality of our connections, and the physics of our antenna itself. Fortunately, we have a more than adequate transceiver, so I do not believe it is causing any problems. Good. Beginning transmission. Our transceiver is perfectly capable, so there is no problem there. And we're also unlikely to change our local anthroponetic conditions. So, the next step is to thoroughly inspect our connections. You need to climb up there and look at them for yourself. Too late. I've begun transmitting. Teleportation isn't real. Climbing is, however, with all its hazards. That's true, but I can't leave my station, so it will have to be you. Then you might break your neck.
Well, do you see anything?
And now if you'll just connect that here...
Damn, I was afraid of that. And I didn't bring any solvents with me. How foolish. Short of changing the shape of the antenna, I'm not sure what else we can do from here. And the lorries are all jammed together, so that's unlikely to happen. I sincerely doubt that's the case, but there's nothing I can do about it from down here. I should have cleaned them beforehand. How foolish. Ah, very good, officer. I had hoped that between the signal purifier and cleaning the connections that we would have it, but perhaps I overestimated. It seems to have made some difference, but unfortunately not enough to alter the overall situation. It's all right, Lieutenant. He's simply cleaning the connections. What are you doing? Oh, cleaning the connections. Smart.
We're ready to try at least. Please put on these headphones. There should be 2 extra sets. I've configured the channels so that only your microphone is set to broadcast, officer. We'll all be able to listen, but anyone we reach will only hear your voice.
Are you all right, officer? That's very good. Just a bit more to the left. Try it now, officer. Ah, excellent. You are connected. Now be quick. I don't know how long I'll be able to preserve the signal. What are you doing? The connection is even worse now. This is extremely unprofessional. That is because you broke it. Things stop working when you break them. Or did you not know that? But you didn't. You made things worse. But it is because you broke it. Damn it. I'm going to push the power supply. I doubt it will last more than a few minutes, so you'd better make them count. This is the best we can do. I suggest you get to your business quickly. I doubt I'll be able to maintain even this connection very long.
Officer? Are you in order? We're waiting for you to start. Go ahead, officer.
I'm not joking, officer. I'll only be able to hold the signal open for a few more moments. What you came here to ask it now. Be advised, officer. The signal is liable to fail any moment now. Officer, I've held the signal open as long as I can. Whatever you came here to ask it now. Time is running short, officer. I estimate you have time for maybe 2 more questions. Be advised, officer. The signal is liable to fail any moment now.
Again? Ah, very good thinking. I'll engage it now. There won't be any later. This is our chance. Now please keep going. What else is there to do? Keep trying. That's much better. Please try again. Damn! Even with the crosstalk suppressed, the signal is still very weak. It's not working. The crosstalk is simply too strong.
I didn't see anything. I was focused on my work. Have you checked the connections yet, or no?
We don't have time for indecision. Just say whatever first comes to mind.
What do you mean? You adjust the antenna manually, with your hands. Ideally, narrow the receiving mode so that we can isolate the warship signal and eliminate the crosstalk. And if you don't know what you're doing, of course you could just make it worse. I'm afraid we're out of alternatives. You're just going to have to go for it. It's making a very slight difference. The signal is a bit clearer than it was. Huh. The signal is coming through a bit clearer now. Good work. Try it now.
Try again, officer. We're ready to try at least. Please put those on. I've configured the channels so that only your microphone is set to broadcast. We'll both be able to listen, but anyone we reach will only hear your voice. It's very likely, based on what we've recently learned. Give me a moment while I attempt to narrow the receiving mode. Not ghosts, officer. Crosstalk. You have to keep trying until we get a signal through. It isn't gibberish, it's Valder. Now please keep trying. It's crosstalk. In all likelihood, they can't hear you. You have to keep trying until we get a signal through. You will need to transmit your connection request while I attempt to locate the warship's public frequency. You will likely encounter some interference, but it's important to keep transmitting your request until you're acknowledged. Ready? Keep trying, officer. We'll get a signal through eventually. In the meantime, you must keep trying.